Chris, what happened in this one to let it slip away?
Well, I mean, it was an absolute disgusting performance of defense and immature basketball all the way through the game. So it really didn't slip away. It had been there from the jump. So this is what happens when you have this type of approach.
You saw that from the beginning of the game right through the
For sure, yeah.
How do you go about trying to right the ship when you see it's like that from minute one?
I kept, imploring them to try to compete and play some defense, switching back between man and zone, anything to contain the ball, push it, get up on the shooters. Messages weren't getting through, so.
It seemed like all season when Carl or Ant start the first quarter off and just scoring a lot of points, and it's coming pretty easy. That leads to the team's worst basketball.
Yeah.
How do you address that? Because there are going to be quarters where it's good when they start out hot, but not have it lead to bad team basketball from there.
I mean, listen, you're spot on. I mean, there's lots of times when just because you've scored 2 or 3 or 4 points in a row or baskets in a row, it doesn't, obviously we're going to try to feed a hot hand, look for a hot hand, but at some point we got to get back to making the right play. We got to get back to doing the right things. That's just, like I said, there's a lot of ways to be immature. There's always a lot of ways to be immature. And there was a lot of immature performances here throughout the roster. We totally disrespected the game ourselves, and we got exactly what we deserved. So,
Chris, did you also see? I mean, did it turn into Carl trying to hunt like a big number?
Yeah, I mean it was. I mean, but for a while, it was going. But down the stretch, you got kind of dried up for us. But So.
Why couldn't you stop the bleeding defensively in terms of what were they doing?
I mean, it was ball containment. We just couldn't contain the ball. They dribbled around us every time we had some guys out there trying, and then when they did, there was no second line of defense, and then we were just chasing them all night long. So, and then when we did have them in front of us, we didn't tighten them up, and they shot easy threes. That's when they got really back in the game, was when they made like a bunch of just kind of spot threes right in our face. So. Could
you see that their focus wasn't there even in huddles and things like that?
Yeah, you could see from the beginning that, it was one of those nights. So.
When you're lacking the poise like that, I mean, is there any way to try to fix that during the game, or is this something now where, like, tomorrow and the next day is where the hammer comes down, really?
The hammer's... the hammer's been brought down. Just brought it down. But I don't know exactly what poise. To me, it wasn't about poise. It was about approach. So.
I mean, when you're not ready to play the game, but you're still ahead. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you need the poise to.
Well, it's funny. What I said at halftime was. Why don't we start getting back to being who we are and play some defense and not let this game fall down to a point where we miss a bunch of shots and they make a bunch of shots and then we're behind. That's what I said at halftime.
Chris, I know Ant was sick today. How much did that play into the game that he played versus, he just really looked like he wasn't looking for his shot at all.
Yeah, he's getting off of it, making a lot of the right plays, but he's still got to stay aggressive offensively. And for whatever reason, he didn't really. Obviously, Cat had it going, so everyone was looking for him. But we still need him to be a scorer, and then from that, make the right plays. So.
And then Nikhil's really delivered, I think, in pretty much every game you've started him this year. What have you seen from him in that role, which is a little bit different than what he has normally night to night?
Yeah, I think with that. He gets a lot of really good looks. He got a really good looks. Gets us into our offense. Then, stays shot ready off of it. And I think he's the primary handler out there. He feels comfortable for that. But he's gets us into the actions where Cat and Ant usually can create some traffic. And then get him some good looks, So, but I also liked his decision making when he got to the paint. So,
Coach, you've had a couple of disastrous fourth quarters.
Yeah.
Are you shooting too many threes? I mean, you shot 39 and lost the other game in 40 tonight.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it comes down to threes. It comes down to turnovers. It comes down to finishing. You know, we missed a couple layups down the stretch. You know, Cat missed one, Jaden missed one. You know, but it comes down to defense, really, too. So.
Chris, did you think that this team was beyond this kind of a game in terms of, we talked a lot about the more mature approach you've seen? Or
I mean, no, I mean, listen, it's a long season. You're going to have bad games. I was hoping that we were beyond it, but, you know, until you go through it all, you really can't tell. You know, we've been better and not had many of these type of performances, but, yeah, this is certainly a disappointing one. But, you know, we got a lot of basketball left to play, and that's what our guys need to understand. Like, we haven't done a thing yet. We haven't accomplished a thing yet. You know, and we got to play with a better desire and better purpose and a better readiness on every single night.
With 12 and a half seconds left in the game, you guys isolated Cat at the nail, and he was able to drive and generate traffic around him. Is that still, like, with hindsight, obviously you didn't get the result you wanted, but is that the type of look you want to create, getting, you know, one of your best players downhill on a night where he's been tremendous for the most part? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we figured there would be a crowd. If we iso him in the middle of the floor, they would bring help, you know, and it either has the shot or he makes the kick out. I haven't seen the play on replay. It looked like there was a lot of contact on it. But, you know, it didn't turn out.
Who do you want to be like the stabilizer when Mike's not out there?
Well, you know, it needs to be Cat, it needs to be Ant, it needs to be a bit of everybody, you know. Kyle, for sure. Those guys, everyone's got to play their part. But, you know, Kyle's been a good, steady influence, always has been. Last year we used him a lot in those situations. So, but, you know, it's also, you know, Cat, it's upon those guys to be also stabilizing force, you know, so.